So the Ches Amud Aleph 98a, after a bit of a hiatus for Yom Tov, we have now also another one of the famous Gemaras about Moshiach's coming, and this is going along with the idea that there are two tracks for Moshiach's coming. Something we introduced a while ago, a couple of previous year or two. This idea that there's either generation that's all meritorious or generation that's all liable. And we began to reconcile some contradictions based on that distinction. The first being the very verse itself, where one after the other it says, Be'ita, Moshiach will come in its predetermined time, and Achishana, God will hasten it. God will make it come quicker. Instantaneous. Excuse me. And the Gemara said that the difference is between whether or not it's going to be meritorious or not meritorious. And from there, we went on to a similar idea.
You mean?
Oh, now we're going to introduce other seeming contradictions which can be reconciled in the same way.
You mean he comes because of merit, or he just comes because it's time?
That's the point. So there's two different ways. There's the predetermined time, and then there's the merits that we earned it.
You can bring it earlier, or it comes at its time.
Yeah, well, we explained it's possible to have both of them as we explained, and we're going to try to do the same thing today as well. Try to reconcile how these can both be simultaneously.
If it comes at its time, there'll be some kind of tshuva. Like the more predicts, the leader will come as wicked as Haman.
In its time means Hashem provokes tshuva, versus early means we did tshuva on our own.
There's like above to below or below to above.
As we explained. Yeah, okay. I think we'd have a similar. I spent some time thinking about how we can reconcile this, and I think I have something. First, I'll tell you what I read, and then I'll tell you what I'm adding on my own, and then you'll see how this perhaps explains the continuation to the next Gemara. So let's see. Amar Rabbi Alexandri. The line begins with the word Ben Levi. If the line ends with the word Rami, and then you back up middle, it's Amar, and there's a little Zion next to it. It's about a third from the bottom of the page, maybe a little bit, in between a quarter and a third. You have it? Amar Rabbi Alexandri. Rabbi Alexandri said, the same Rabbi Alexandri is the one speaking before, right? There's the same Rabbi Alexandri. We had him before. Yeah, in previous times also Rabbi Alexandri. So Amar Rabbi Alexandri said, Rabbi Shua ben Levi Rami. Rabbi Shua ben Levi raised this following seeming apparent contradiction. Say, a reason, one verse. This verse is in Daniel 7:13. Va'aru emanane shemaya. Kavar inish ata. Like you, behold, man will be flying. There came with the clouds of the heaven one like unto a son of man. Okay. So implying that we're going to fly, we're going to get to Moshiach's coming, flying on the clouds.
Like above nature, no
miraculous.
And there's no opposition. Just
Even it says, Ani v'reichav al chamor, that Moshiach will arrive as a poor man riding on a donkey. That verse is in Zechariah. So on the one hand, it seems glorious. We're flying on clouds, and the other one seems like it's a degraded state. Poor man who can't even afford a horse, he's riding on a donkey.
It's also very slow, and donkeys sometimes get stubborn; they don't move.
Yeah,
so you have to beat them, and then the Moshiach can come that way as well.
So it says, reconciles the Gemara. Rabbi Shua ben Levi in the same way as before is Zachu. If Jews merit, Manani Shemaya, we go on the clouds of the heavens. Lo Zachu. If we don't merit, Ani v'reichav al chamor, Moshiach is a poor man riding on a donkey. Okay, so I'll tell you what I've read, and then I can share with you some of my thoughts and see if they work. So there's a famous, very long sikha we have on YouTube, a 3-part series from my father explaining this at great length, because there's this recurring donkey in Torah. There's Bilam on the donkey, and there's Moshiach's donkey, there's Avram's donkey, and Moshe has a donkey. There's a recurring donkey, and in this
things created that.
Sorry.
Erev Shabbos at twilight.
Yeah, Chamor Mashiach is one of the things created. That's right. One of the things mentioned in Perek Chelek is the things created. Well, yeah. So there's something about this donkey business, and you can watch the videos online at length. My father explains in his talk. The word chamor which in Hebrew is the word for donkey, is also the same root word for chaimer, which is materialism. Chaimer is even lower than what you usually describe our world as gashmi. Gashmi is physical and chamer is material. Materialism implies even more corporeality, more tangibility than just this physical world, which even in itself could be gases and liquids and things that are less.
Because Geshem comes from Geshem as liquid,
Yeah.
And rain comes from
That's right.
Shemayim,
Geshem,
water
yeah.
is physical. Like
Yeah,
solid.
it's like there are degradations of like corporeality. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Like
Corporeality.
corporeality, and chaimer is the lowest of them. So as explained there at length, majority of mitzvahs, and even in some places this is that all mitzvahs are to be done with chaimer, with physical materialism. Even I've seen actually 2 places in this where it goes on different layers. And Tanya, the Rabbi says that even mitzvahs that are of the heart, love of Hashem, fear of Hashem, these are things, mitzvahs of the heart, which don't need a material to fulfill. Even you're yotzeh, you fulfill them with the. Is this in Tanya? Can't remember. Anyway, but the person fulfills the mitzvah when he feels it in his actual heart. There's 2 levels. One is that it's given to a physical person, even if it's an emotional feeling, number 1. Number 2, I've even seen somewhere else where it says that you're not yotzeh, you haven't fulfilled your obligation unless you actually feel the emotion in your physical heart.
What if you don't feel it? You know
Work harder.
Right, you do it.
Got to work harder. No, let's talk about this. It's a commandment to feel emotion, and a person feels an emotion in their physical body. You feel emotions. You experience emotions in your physiological body, and that's the proper way to fulfill the mitzvah. And that even the mitzvahs that are not physical also have a physical element. That's the point I'm making.
You're not asking if that invalidates it, are you?
Well, in one way, you have to fulfill the mitzvah. To fulfill it, you have to feel it.
So you got to work at that.
Fulfilling the mitzvah, you
But I think
just
he
don't
means it's
feel
not
it.
valid if you don't feel it.
No, everything you do is valid, of course, but the ultimate is that a person actually feels this love, and that's what a lot of siddhis is, to work at that. A lot of Muslims that also.
Talmud Torah is the same thing. It's involves the physical body, but of course it can be
But
done
the
in text.
Talmud Torah is specifically b'dibur, akim asvasav maisa, specifically with speech, meaning the person could think words of Torah before he makes a bracha Torah, but a person cannot speak words of Torah because the actual mitzvah is actual speaking. At any rate, the point being that mitzvahs are done with the physical world, and that's the whole work towards bringing Moshiach coming, the Dir B'Tatanim, making this dwelling place for Hashem, and that we transform the physicality, the materialism of this world, and transform it into service of Hashem. And is explained even further that the physical reality is specifically the catalyst for this ultimate revelation, ironically, precisely because the physical reality says, I exist, therefore in it is embedded the true I exist, which is Hashem Himself. It's an irony in that spiritual world which say, I am surrendered unto Hashem. What they express is their own level of surrender to Hashem. Whereas the physical reality which says, I exist, without saying I surrender, materialism just says, I exist. Specifically, the I exist, the materialism is expresses of the essential I exist of Hashem Himself. And thus, in it has the power to reveal the deepest truth about Hashem, the very essence of Hashem, even beyond the spiritual, as it were.
But there's also though. It's not the best. It's like a secondary.
Yeah? Even so.
So if we're worthy, it comes like this. If not, there's a lesser level, but still, Moshiach comes.
The point being the length of Golos, as we explained before, is there to continue to elevate the chayim of the materialism.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
If we were Zaka, we would have bypassed it and made material.
Okay, we'll get to that. So this is explained at length. So this is a 3-part video. You can go watch it.
Well, there's a third method not mentioned here. Will come across the dung of a donkey.
Yeah.
When the time says, I'd want to see even the dung of a donkey. That's even a lower level.
Okay, so this is what I've read. Now
Suffering.
the following up suggesting maybe
Across the next language.
perhaps. So first of all, when the pasuk said that you're flying on clouds, it's not far-fetched to think that the verse is actually talking about airplanes. Why is it not far-fetched to say that? Just on a very pashtistic level, a very simplistic level. If you were a prophet living in that time, when is this? Daniel's 2,500 years ago, roughly, maybe 3,000 years ago, almost. No, about 2,500 years ago. And God showed you a vision of a donkey, of an airplane. And now you're supposed to go tell it to the people. How do you describe it? What words do you use?
Flying on clouds.
Giant bird. Yeah.
Giant bird, clouds. There is also actually kind of an isharim on eagle's wings. It's a similar kind of thing. If you were shown an airplane, a vision of what all the world looks like with an airplane, how do you describe it? You can't describe it. There's no words you can say. So it's not far-fetched to think that when the verse says eagle's wings or here clouds in heaven, it's talking about an airplane. It's possible that's what it means. Yeah?
Nostradamus used to have visions in his thing. He said he saw wars. He saw Pigman flying. He saw the man with the oxygen or whatever. He thought he described it as
Anyway,
visions.
so if this is correct, if this is true, that the idea of the clouds in the heavens or eagle's wings means airplanes, if that's the case.
We're going to fly to Israel.
Well, certainly, right? And if it means
That's later, after Moshiach.
and if
After Moshiach comes. It also may not be later.
After Moshiach.
and if we're going to go along with this idea that the idea of the chamor, the idea of the donkey, is the elevation of materialism, so you could actually make a kind of connection between these two. The ultimate elevation of materialism is thanks to the airplane. How do I mean? Not specifically airplane, but all of technology in general. How is that? It's rather simple. If you were living in in Kabbalah, we know that everybody's responsible. Every godly soul descends to this earth to mizachach, to refine his personal nefesh bahamis, his personal animal soul, and chelkai ba'olam, his portion in this world. It means to say everybody interacts with a certain part and element of this world, physical world, food, physical table, chairs, and that becomes your responsibility to elevate. In fact, this is a Kabbalistic way of understanding the famous Gemara, which says, the same Gemara which says that 40 days before a person is conceived, they announce who he's going to marry. That same Gemara says that the 40 days before a person is conceived, they announce which field is going to be yours and which house is going to be yours. That's literally what the Gemara says. So, the simple way of thinking it is how big your house is going to be, how wealthy you're going to be, and what kind of business you're going to be in. But that's not the words of the Gemara. The Gemara says that this house belongs to this person. Like you say, this wife belongs to this wife, not like what kind of wife you're going to have, but that actual wife. So likewise, that actual house. Who cares which physical house you're going to have? But based on this Kabbalistic understanding, it's very well understood. You need that house. Those physical bricks, you are responsible to elevate it. So the physical bricks that make up your home have been preordained to come into contact with you so that you can use that home to elevate the sparks and serve Hashem. And the same thing with the physical field, not just what occupation you have, but the actual office you're in, the actual desk you're in, the actual chairs you're sitting on, the elevator. All those stuff have been predestined for you to interact with so you can elevate the sparks that are invested in those physical things. Now, if you lived 200 years, 50 years ago, 300 years ago, in a smaller shtetl, how big was Chelka Ba'olam? How big was your portion in the world? How many places you interact with? How often, if you were a businessman, you went to the big cities? Okay, you went to the big city. But if you didn't, how many places did you come in contact with? Your little village, the 3 trees that it took, or the 5 trees that it took to make your home, and the cow you milked until it died, and
depends what you came down with, what you were gonna.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is how far within this world could you have reached in the physical world? How much could you have come to contact with? So if you're responsible to elevate the sparks in the physical world, in the chamor, in the donkey, in the physical world, then how much of the physical world can you come in contact with? Not very much. Today, you're carrying an iPhone in which there is invested particles from literally every continent, probably. There are millions of people. There are millions, thousands of people that went into making that iPhone, from the investors, the way they made the money, how they made the money, where they invested it, the designers, the computers that were used to design it, all the people standing in the assembly line, wherever it is, putting all the pieces together, the people who built that building to put those pieces together, and then get this: all the millions of people who bought the iPhone, making your iPhone affordable to you. Which means, if we were only to make iPhones specifically for all those people who need to elevate those iPhones, so you'd be talking about a few hundred, a few thousand iPhones, it'd be very expensive. I probably wouldn't get it. It's only cheap because there are millions and millions of them, which means millions and millions of people who bought iPhones have a share in the fact that this iPhone is sitting right here recording me. Not like in a theoretical sense, in a very practical and real sense. And all of that is elevated when this iPhone is used to share words of Torah. So the same thing is true times however much when you're talking about an airplane. The amount of parts that come in an airplane, the amount of countries it has to go through to make that airplane, the amount of people that have to fly on airlines to make the flights cheap enough for you to actually pay for a ticket to get to Israel at such a cheap and short notice. All of that is all invested in when you're flying on a plane to go to Israel, to go to do a mitzvah, whatever it is you're going to use that plane for. And while you're on the plane, no doubt you have a book, a holy book, and you're learning and elevating, you're davening on the plane, whatever it is you're doing. All of the chaymer, all of the materialism, in the loizachu, in the ani v'rechev al chamar, in the poor man riding on a donkey, we're elevating the materialism, is heightened times 10 by anani shemaya, by the fact that we're going on airplanes. So it's kind of perhaps like a combination of the two, where there is an element. We talked about this before. We have elements in our generation. We have an element in our time of the zachu, of the meritorious. We're a generation that's very engaged and very, very educated. And there's the Baal Tshuva movement, etc., etc. And also you can look at it the other way, that it's a loy zachu. There's a lot more work to do, and perhaps it's a combination of both. And if our reading is correct, then we can really tie the two together. In that the Anani Shemaya, the clouds, which if I'm right means airplanes, is precisely the chamor, is precisely the materialism that's being elevated on a level that has never been elevated in history ever, because of the interconnectedness of our world.
You can argue the other way, that Anani Shemaya is above nature, because if we're intellectual, we'd have to just like miracles and the luck would come and take it there as well. If we're not, we have to combine.
Yeah.
But still, I agree, you're elevating the material to the spiritual.
Okay. So now if this is correct, this would explain the very next Gemara very well.
Gotta go, but wasn't there a part in the battles that Joshua or Moses took the plate or the headset and it brought down flying carpets or something? I mean, there's some.
Oh, the seats. You're talking about the seat. Yeah, the seats. That's
wild
when
stuff
when they were battling Bilam.
Yes. So.
Yeah, Bilam was able to bring him down. Yes. Yeah, you can win in miraculous ways or by their.
Okay. So the next Gemara, if this is correct, this is explain the next Gemara. Have a good day. Omerle Shvar Malka Lashmuel. Shvar Malka. Shipur, a sculpture. You can see here they have an image of this King Shapur, if you want to see it. Yeah, apparently that's him. Yeah. Anyway, Shipur Malka, that's how you pronounce it. Shapur. Shvar Malka, that's how I've always pronounced it, but if you hear right, it's Shapur.
Shapur with a pay.
Shapur was the name of the king, several king of Persia. Shapur is in Persian meaning son of king. Here, time refers to King Shapur the first, son of the founder of the Sassanid dynasty. King Shapur successfully led the Persian war against the Romans in Eretz Yisrael and the surrounding lands, conquering the city of Nitzivin and extending the Persian borders as far as Syria. After several campaigns in Syria and Asia Minor, he not only emerged victorious at the Battle of Edessa, but even took the Roman Emperor Valerian into captivity, where he remained until his death. With his prisons of war as his workforce, King Shapur constructed major cities and dams. Within his kingdom, he was tolerant of other religions, and the Gemara relates at length his close relationship with the Jews and his appreciation of Jewish custom. On several occasions, the Talmud recounts his friendship with the Amora Shmuel, who, upon hearing the King Shapur had died, explained, "The bond has come undone," meaning their friendship. Okay.
Protection of the Jews.
So this is part of that. This is part of that friendship here. Amalei Shapur Malka le Shmuel. Shapur Malka, this king, Persian king, tells Shmuel, "Amrisu, I've heard it said in the name of your scholars, or you guys say, Moshiach Chacham Rasi, the Moshiach is going to arrive on a donkey. Ishadul Isuse Barka, the Isli. I will give him I'm not sure what the word barka means, but he says, I'm going to give him I will send him the riding. Barka, that's where barka means, comes riding.
Very fast.
The Persian meaning animal of riding horse, okay. That I have, I'll give him a nice fancy horse. What does he have to go to get this donkey? So, Amarle. So Shmuel said back to this king, Mi islach bar chiyudi gavni. Do you have a donkey that has 1,000 colors? Yeah, 1,000 colors. Do you have a horse that has all these colors? End conversation. So what does this mean? So the simple reading is that even the donkey is miraculous.
The horse has 1,000 talits?
1,000 colors. Colors. The donkey has 1,000 colors.
Colors.
Which means even the 100 colors, not 1,000. The point is being that even the simple reading is that even the donkey is miraculous. Meaning, even though we're saying that there's two, the simple reading of the Gemara on that there's two modes in which Moshiach can come the miraculous way, which is the clouds or the negative way, not the negative,
More material way.
the more materialistic way, the lower level where it comes in a donkey. But here Shmuel's telling him that even our donkey is miraculous because it has 100 colors or 1,000 colors, whatever it is. That's a simple reading. But if we're going to go with the reading we said before, that chamor means materialism. And we said before that the airplane is symbolic of the elevation of materialism through the advent of technology, that we can elevate much more of the world because there's more invested in every piece. Every piece of technology we use is more of this world physically invested, and therefore elevates more of the physical world. If that's the case, maybe that's the illusion here when it says that the donkey has 1,000 colors. Meaning to say, the donkey is not a singular donkey that comes from one place. It's a donkey that's comprised of 1,000 different colors, as in it elevates much more than just it itself. Yeah. So like 1,000 colors is somehow perhaps metaphorical, this idea that it brings along with it much more of the materialistic world. Or more of the sparks have elevated in more of the world. So you have a donkey, you have a horse, very nice, your horse. But where does your horse? Your horse is bred in your backyard by a couple of horse breeders. And how much of this physical world does it elevate? Do you have a donkey that has 1,000 colors? Do you have a donkey that can? Do you have a donkey? Do you have chamor? Do you have materialism that can elevate thousands of streams from all these different places, come together in one donkey, like that, like an iPhone that has thousands of colors, in that it brings together hundreds of particles and from hundreds of places in this world, elevating much more the physical world than just the little interaction we have with the world around. Meaning, our connection, our connectivity to the physical world is much broader thanks to this new version of chamar, this new version of materialism.
Could be because the donkey represents like a beast of burden. He's doing mitzvahs on behalf of its owner and sharing in the mitzvah of doing work. Like people use donkeys for work.
The burden. It is carrying the load. That's one explanation. Like you saw
It's also the Kabbalah.
Horses, not as much.
Yeah.
Horse is more for speed.
You watch the video. My father talks about this at length. This idea of the donkey being stubborn and the connection to that, and the fact that donkeys carry the load, and that a person does mitzvahs out of a sense of duty. We talked about it before. When we talked about how tzaddikim are mismayed, that the generation before Moshiach, the righteous get less. We talked about how it couldn't mean, on a simple level, means less tzaddikim, or it could mean that the tzaddikim are more bittul, they're more self-surrendered. Like a donkey just does it because he's told, as opposed to the glamour and glory that were presented by the horse. All to say that there's a sort of acceptance. This is what Hashem wants. This is what we do, and coming from like serving Hashem from a materialistic place, but in the virtuous sense, in that we're elevating the materialism as opposed to great feelings of love and splendor and glory that are more the spiritual type service of Hashem. It's all connected and woven in at great length in those videos. I recommend watching them. All right, have a wonderful day, everybody.